Today is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 47 Week 1.
This episode is titled One Glorious and Perfect Episode. That was spoken by John. We got several voiceovers on the way in. First up was Gabe. Tells us he wants to be the first head on the Mount Rushmore of the new era. He wants to have historic significance in the new era of Survivor.
I'm sure they'd chop it off for him and leave it there for that.
Mm-hmm. The thing with those kind of statements or that approach to things is that tends to follow based on your results. I don't know that you set that to be your goal. It's like all the other people who hollowly say, I want to be famous.
I want to be a legend.
Yeah.
I want to be Ozzy.
Next up, we heard from Aysha. She said she's ready to forge her own path. I don't know that she was going to possibly forge someone else's, but okay. And then third voiceover we get from Rome. He said he's 100% going to be writing his own story as opposed to someone else's. I feel like I'm very cynical after listening to these.
What
are you saying? Dude, I was thinking, oh, you put thought into this. And then afterwards, I was like, no, they didn't. Those are off the top of their head. And then there was a fourth one. I think it was Genevieve. I wasn't 100% sure. She says she's going to blaze a trail or burn the island down. Okay, so that one's a little different. It's a goofy thing to say, but at least it wasn't stating the obvious in a different way, the way the others, the second and the third one did.
You're very sensitive to that kind of stuff anyway. Sometimes when we're watching a show, you will narrate so much that I almost have to say, honey.
Oh, it's not almost.
You're being negative.
Oh, look at you spinning you in a super positive, nice way.
Yeah.
That isn't it. You immediately snap, shut up.
No, only if, and I never just say shut up. I wouldn't do that. But
you've absolutely done that, but carry on.
Stop doing it. That I would do.
Sam tells us that he is dangerous in Survivor. Why are you hitting me? Did you need to say more?
Yes, because the other night I tolerated it and said nothing.
Oh, okay.
And now you're giving me grief.
Gold star for you.
I held my tongue just waiting for you to quit being negative.
Okay, back to Sam. Sam tells us he's dangerous in Survivor because he's just got it all going on. He's a physical threat because he's a jock and he played baseball. I don't know if he was the pitcher, the batter, or the catcher, but he was doing something athletic, and then he was dramatic and singing show tunes, and he got the girl. Because they show a picture with him and his girlfriend. So there you go. He's a triple threat.
I made no notes of any of that.
You know why?
Because I didn't want to.
No, you really know why. It's because you're enjoying our...
I was finishing my
premiere
sandwich.
Meal. Yes, you were chowing down on a Jersey Mike sub.
Yeah.
That's why.
True. We did have something new. We've never had one before.
Yeah. Aysha tells us that she marches to the beat of her own drummer, and she's a proud nerd. And I noticed that she had a nice hook shot. And then she tells us that she doesn't do anything unless she's going to succeed at it, that's an interesting statement. I think it's meant to be like this positive presentation. But again, like some of the other goofy ones, if you take a pause to think about what they're saying, it doesn't particularly frame her in a super positive light.
Pause. Don't pause.
No, like the strategic pauses that John offers? Okay.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Kyle just floored me. 26 homes. He was in 26 different homes before he got out of high school.
Wow. 4
or 5 years in foster care, 26 homes. And he didn't take the easy road with his little metaphor. He didn't make lemonade out of lemons. He baked a brownie. So gold star for Kyle. He chose a different literary path in his intro. I felt reaffirmed in him being my choice for USB.
I think you need a nap.
Okay.
Actually, I know you
it's
need
like
a
these two were fantastic. Kyle and Tiyana were their intros were really good. She talked about being the first native Hawaiian and how that was significant. And then she gives this incredible, great Polynesian yell. I'm thinking, oh no, she's not dancing hula. She's out there with a war club splitting wigs. This is a warrior lady. This is not this is not a peaceful, nurturing energy coming from her. So she's a force. That was what I got out of that. I really liked theirs. Hard-chipped and made brownies, and she's here to clear a path. I love that yell. That was awesome. I thought, I bet she does a haka, but that's actually, that dance, the crazy dance where they do the war dances, where they do the thing where they stick out their tongue. And they don't do that in Hawaii. Theirs is different. It's because I thought, there must be a Hawaiian haka. That must be like one of the yells that they give in that, but that's something else, like ha'a. Anyway, I found out that it was different.
Survivor.
Yeah, always learning. Then we get John and his quick little excerpt there, and he said that his relatives, and he is sure that his relatives and friends want to see him suffer. Okay, this is just kind of odd.
Yeah, I thought.
But that's John, odd.
Okay.
And we hear from Anika. She says she's going to play hard and she might get evil. And there's something about her. I was listening to her a couple times, listening close to that, the tone and the timbre of her voice. And because she was reminding me of someone, and she kind of sounded like Elizabeth Holmes. You know, that lady that was running Theranos that got sent to prison for lying about all the wonderful blood tests. You have no idea what I'm talking about. She did this funny thing with her voice where she would talk lower. Anyway, I was getting that vibe from Monica.
I'm just letting you talk, baby.
And Sue declares, she rounds them out. She declares, when I win, I'm going to tell them that I'm 59 and I beat you all. I don't think that's going to happen, Sue, but it's good to have goals. Cut to Propes on the beach.
Okay, that's where I started taking notes.
Is that where you were done with your sandwich?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't finish my sandwich.
Oh, that's right. You saved some. You just finished it off right before we started here. That's right. Probst declares this is season 47, and we get a drone flying by as he stands with his hands on his hips on the beach in the sand. Gone are the days of him hanging off the side of a helicopter or on a mountaintop or things like that.
Well, we all age, and
it was...
It's like, no, I don't want to do that.
No, I just don't have the energy anymore.
Or there's no money for that. It's not in the budget.
I can walk down to the beach.
Yeah.
Have the drone fly by. Okay, next up, we get the tribe names.
Certainly officially, blue is Tuku.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wrote that wrong.
Yeah.
Tuku.
I do that sometimes too.
Well, I corrected it, but it didn't look like it.
Didn't register.
Okay, I corrected it. Tuku, Lavo, and Gata.
Gotta go. Gotta win.
Gotta win.
Gotta lose.
Gotta eat.
Yeah, a lot of things you can do with the Gata tribe. Yes. TK tells us he is ready for the $1 million, and Probst goes around the tribes and gets them to give a little backstory, and Gabe tells everyone that he's the grinder. He's all about grinding, working hard. You got to work as hard as me, because if I can do it, you can too. And Teeny dresses like a scarecrow. She likes patches on her pants, and she's representing New Jersey.
Okay. And Andy told his story. I thought that was a little bit unusual there. That's not usually where you get a little bit of their background type story.
Yeah. I don't know.
Of course, that was the others. They did background too, so.
Kind of, yeah. Certainly Gabe did. I don't know what Teeny's would be characterized as. And this just seems like the beginning of Andy's self-destruction.
Well, and
I'm a poser.
Talked about only having 4 friends in high school, and I didn't think that was that bad myself. And then John popped up and
capitalized on it.
Yeah, and said, "Wow, you You had 4 friends?
John tells us he cares what people thinks, and 4 friends was amazing.
Yeah.
Must be nice. And then he gave us the would, could, and will speech.
Of course, I was married in high school, so that might have made a difference.
Yeah, it did have a bit of an impact, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Probst asked him to follow him over to the marooning challenge. Andy's excited. This is where he's going to get to perform. Okay, so we've got the challenge is the classic where they bring this mud in. This is what I think about every time now. They make the mud at base camp, and they bring it to the challenge beach.
How do you know that?
And set it up. Probst has said it before. I think I heard him talk about it on the On Fire podcast. He loves this mud. He even gave us a new phrase associated with the mud this time. He thinks about the mud and its metaphorical significance. He's really into it.
It's got to be just the right consistency so it sticks.
Yeah, and the thing about how they can't wash it off until they're done, absolutely done with the challenge, or sometimes done with the reward that follows. So they kick it off with the classic mud net crawl. The net forces them to be head down and to get splattered with the mud. Now, some of the castaways have gotten smarter and learned from each other season to season, so you'll see them pull the buff up over their face, like over their nose and mouth, or sometimes completely up and over, so it doesn't get in their eyes and affect them that way.
Andy called called it the gladiator arena.
Yeah,
that's what it made him think
I didn't see that at all, but yeah, well, certainly they're there to compete.
Yeah, that's what came up for him.
Okay, so they got to climb under the big heavy net through the mud, get covered in mud. Then they race through the jungle. They've got to untie. They're going in groups of 2. Untie 2 puzzle pieces and bring them back. Once they've got all 6 of these puzzle pieces back, they use those pieces to solve a 3D rectangular puzzle. And this is all to win a pot, a machete, and a flint.
Which they should have been given anyway.
Kyle was impressive. He just blew right through there. So I think it was him and Carolyn were the first ones. And this is where Probst gives his phrase, they were birthed by the mud. So the net and the mud are the birth canal of Survivor now, according to Probst.
Okay, that's...
Hey, he said it, not me.
I think you're both overthinking things a little bit.
I'm just repeating what he said. I would never use that.
You have your own. All righty. What's next?
Well, we got to see a lot of different people performing there. Gata was dead last in their ability to get the pieces back. And we saw John on the Gata tribe using an interesting technique where he was just whipping the rope off. That was cool to see.
But they were so impressive when they did get back. I mean, they just whipped through it like it was nothing.
Yeah, Tuku got their pieces back first, and Carolyn and Kyle started working on the solve, and then, what was it, Rachel and Anika for Gata started working on theirs, and they ended up winning. They went from last to first.
I thought it was just amazing myself. I was like, oh my gosh, they just whipped right through it. And anybody who watches another tribe to see how they're putting the pieces together, never going to win. Because you're always going to be behind watching them do that.
Well, you got to hope they stumble somehow.
Yeah. Well, but even so, then they may not know where to go unless they finally connect the dots. But
Kyle and Carolyn had a head start, but they blew it. So I think that was Rachel, too, who really got it dialed in. Anyway, Rachel and Anika won for them, so they get the machete, flint, and the pot, and now Tuku and Lavo have to choose a person for the task without knowing what the task is going to be. This is the change to sweat versus savvy, which evolved into sweat and savvy, that challenge, so they changed it up this time to
I don't know if
what Probst is calling a heroes challenge.
Nobody really chose that now.
The tribes were told to choose one person for the task without knowing what the task was. That's why I said it that way.
But Aysha volunteered, right?
Yeah, I think for the Tuku tribe, for the blue tribe, several people had said they wanted to, and they were supposed to rock and scissors with the odd choice out being the winner and TK did paper. Which Tiyana was like, I thought I made the instructions clear, but whatever, go. You go, TK. So it's Aysha versus TK in the challenge.
He's like, yeah, okay, thanks for telling me what y'all doing so I can beat you.
Maybe another way to look at his choice. They went ahead and let him go, even though he didn't follow directions. He was certainly the odd one out.
It's like, I don't follow rules.
Or maybe he just doesn't listen.
That's, always a possibility.
Rome commented on Aysha's choice to go. He said, that was a big mistake. Need to be in camp making connections. This is important because you need to watch what Rome gets up to later.
Yeah.
He's talking about being in camp and making connections. I think he turned loose of that.
Everyone loves him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, cut to the Gata camp. They're celebrating, and it's time to get to know each other, so they go out to wash off the mud, and John tells them how he's a speechwriter and quizzes them all on how many listen to his podcast, which I didn't think the takeaway was anyone. They're like, maybe I listen, a couple of people.
Yeah, I don't think so. And he didn't tell them what kind of speechwriter. He kind of really just kind of skimmed over the top of that.
Oh, I don't believe that at all. I just don't think we heard it all.
Oh,
I think he's very eager to tell people that he was a speechwriter in the White House.
Well, he should be proud of it. Who wouldn't?
It depends. I don't know that that's the setting to be pumping yourself up like that. What did you think of Andy's little spiel there about how he's the numbers guy and it's a numbers game and it's
it went on
combinatorial? 6 choose 2, he tells us.
Yeah.
15 possible connections can be made. He's just looking for 2. I don't know. I think the math was way similar than combinatorics there. So I think it's 4's a majority in a group of 6, Andy. That's really what you should focus on. I thought he was having a good moment at first. Then I was like, I think you made that too complicated.
Well, that's what I said. He just kept going on and on.
Well, yeah, this was before it got really bad for him.
Well, that was a little preview.
Mm-hmm. So
just tiny.
Andy was trying to make a connection with John and trying to build that alliance to get that power of 2 going, I guess. But Sierra was onto him, wasn't she? Yeah. She spotted it, and she had a group of 4 that she was talking to. So when she was there with Sam and Rachel and Anika, she was saying, let's not do that. Let's not do what they're doing. So she quickly highlighted it, took advantage of it.
We are gelling, and we don't have to.
We're right here. You don't have to try. Split off to build.
Grab somebody and take them off somewhere.
Yeah, 2-person alliances. Now's not the time for that.
Well,
good for her.
She grouped them all together.
Yeah.
It's us. Well, why wouldn't you do that if people take off? That's the numbers. You left 4 behind.
Okay, bouncing over to the Blue Tribe, over to Tuku, and they're working on their shelter, and Tiyana tells us that she's really happy with their ability to deliver on the physical side of things, but she's worried about the puzzlers.
She should be. She hated losing.
Kyle and Carolyn did not deliver, so now Tiyana's thinking, we don't have someone who can do puzzles.
I thought, y'all better find somebody. Though they did okay the second time, but...
What did you think about the Gabe's play? He's looking for an old soul.
I thought that was very interesting, but he had said that, even in his interviews, he had highlighted seeing her. Mm-hmm. Knowing she was older and that he wanted to work with her. So, I guess it's a good thing she was on his tribe. But she was very receptive, She wasn't expecting people to receive her as well as they did.
Yeah, he came right out and said it. You're my number 1. I got you. I'll be watching out for you.
And we were afraid that we saw in the previews that because she didn't want to be seen as a mother figure, that we saw in the previews Caroline talking about that Survivor was her and her mother's thing that they did together. And we were afraid that Sue wouldn't like any reference to
just
being
the
a
opposite,
mother.
Huh?
Yeah, she related it to her daughter.
Yeah, her daughter Chelsea.
That surprised me.
And so we see Carolyn tell Sue, you're my main person. You're my number 1. And Sue's thrilled and tells us that Carolyn and Gabe are her number 1s.
And that Carolyn
it doesn't work that way, Sue, but okay.
Such a sweetie girl. She's such a sweet thing. Yeah. And that they connect well on the mother-daughter thing. And I just think that's kind of ironic.
Yeah. Well, and it's a perfect demonstration of what you see people, the mistake you see people making about having some plan before you get out there versus, seeing what you're dealing with and then adapting.
Right.
That's all, seems to always be the better play, the safer play.
Okay, over to Lavo.
Kishan is all about trusting our instincts.
Well, and Saul really likes having an ER doctor on call all the time.
Yeah, that would be a little comforting out there, wouldn't it?
Well, the other thing is that you run into is anybody who has any aches and pains or have any relatives who have anything at all, they're going to be sitting and picking his brain.
Running it by him.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing I think that will happen, but hey, he may not mind if it gets boring and they don't have a lot to do.
Teeny asked her tribe to grade her on her buff placement at just how dweeby was she on a scale, and she sees that as the way to excel at making friends. I guess maybe it worked. I don't know. She wanted to bond with Kishan, and that seemed to be happening. And she didn't want to lock in. What did you think about that? She didn't want to lock in a tight 4 until Aysha got back.
Yeah. I didn't think that was necessarily
not your best answer.
My theory is just say yes.
Yes to whoever you're in front of.
Whether you change your mind later or you never meant it anyway, doesn't matter, just say yes.
You don't have to share all your motivations and all that just because you've recognized Aysha. So, okay, over to the hero challenge. TK and Aysha get there and read the instructions for what they're going to do. I didn't completely understand it when she was reading it off. I didn't get that they were going to get a succession of clues as they went along, but thankfully it played out really clearly. What did you think about that choice where only one of them was going to get it, that they both couldn't both earn it, which was the case previously for Sweat and or Savvy?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the show that they have to, that is once again another competition that they have to do, and that not everybody's going to win. So
I liked it overall.
Yeah,
as a tweak.
Yeah, that's where I was going, was that I think it adds a little extra flavor. So
there's a race. They're given one clue at a time, and each time they find the hidden key, it comes with the clue to where the next key is located. It's a set of pictures to where the keys are covered or buried or hidden.
Yeah, and it amps up the intensity level.
Yeah. It looked like Aysha was going to get it, no problem,
I thought
right?
she totally had it.
Yeah. She seemed to figure things out quicker, so I guess I don't know if that was a byproduct of the editing or it really did play out that way, but she started out pretty solid.
Yeah, he seemed to be a step behind, and then she got lost on her way to the ocean.
So the fourth key was actually hidden out in the ocean.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch. I like that. And it was just sort of back behind where they came to the beach, which they must have, because didn't they float up right to?
I don't know.
Where the instructions were?
I imagine there's more beach than that.
They might have hidden it after they went off to find the first key. It'd be funny if it was there the whole time. You could look back and see it, I guess.
I don't know. He had trouble seeing it, and he was right on top of it.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like that when you're in the water trying to see what's right there beside you.
Well, and especially when it's moving water.
Yeah, unless you put your head underwater and look around. And then there ended up being a little bit of a struggle. She did recover. She got out there, saw where he was, and wrestled him a little bit for it.
I thought she should have fought harder.
Yeah.
That'd have been like jumping on his back and trying to grab
dunking
the key
him, right? Grab his legs and
it'd be like back in the pool with my brothers or something.
Yeah.
Who could get the other one under first? But yeah, I realize she can't do that. And besides, he's way bigger than her and stronger, and so. But at least she made an effort to try to get the key. But I think she thought maybe she could surprise him and grab it. But I guess not. He wasn't surprised.
TK ends up being the hero. He gets the fourth key and ends up winning. And then so he takes the pot, the machete, and the flint back to the Tuku tribe.
Brings home the prize.
Aysha is left with nothing. And she's concerned, rightfully so. She knows.
You say?
I said Aysha. Aysha. Yeah,
Oh,
I've been
okay.
wanting to put an L in her name for some, just because that's a different spelling of Aysha. It
Yeah.
throws me off. I suspect they probably left the L out accidentally when they listed her name in the bios.
Okay.
Yeah, she's rightfully so. She's concerned that she's going to return empty-handed. Nobody will believe her, and that'll put a target on her back, because that has certainly happened in the past.
Well, we sneak over to the Yellow Tribe, and Anika is talking to them about coconuts.
Now, I was confused. I thought she had found one, but she was telling them how to create them, right?
Well, she saw some. She did see some.
Oh, she did say that? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. And she said she was going to try not to lead, but she couldn't help it. She saw those and she had to go inform them her knowledge about the coconuts, and that, you know, we need to go get the coconuts and do this, and she couldn't help herself. She has to take charge. And what was funny was that, you know, there were people like, yes, you take charge. I don't want to do that.
Sam
Let
was
her
happy.
do that.
Sam wants to be
Yeah,
the glue
he didn't
guy
wanna do
in
it.
the middle until Anika wasn't it her that lifted the bamboo up and whacked him between the legs?
I don't remember.
And then Sam declares that he loves him some fire. So Sierra says, I'll do it. And she did.
Oh, yeah.
Stepped in really nicely there.
Yeah. The women stepped up
Yes.
on the Yellow Tribe and said, yeah, we can do as well. But yeah, she made that fire. Good deal.
Okay, we're jumping back over to Tuku. TK returns to Tuku. And
That's a mouthful.
he's wondering how much equity he is going to gain from bringing the treasure back.
You know, I often think any equity that you get will be very fleeting.
It can all backfire on you,
Yeah,
too, because
totally.
someone just decides that, hey, you're withholding something.
Yeah.
You did
got
this, but what else
what
did you
else
get?
did you get?
What other advantage?
Now I'm all suspicious.
What are you holding?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep. What opportunities did you get? You're not telling us everything. You know, that kind of stuff happens. So
Carolyn immediately sees bromance starting with the guys, and she is cautious, suspicious.
oh yeah, boy, she jumped on that. The guys just flocked to TK.
Okay, what did you think about the sequence with Gabe? This is like the story of Tuku. This is it. This is the main thing that happens at Tuku, was Gabe being on to the advantage.
Yeah, and he followed it, but he just wasn't. He thought he was being cautious, but he got so caught up in it that he just quit paying attention and let TK just walk right up on him. It's like, oops.
Yeah, well, it's hard.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Hard to hear what's going on when you're yanking on
What
vines
is that up
high
there
up.
that you're
Yeah.
yanking on?
I love that TK didn't completely buy it, that they had found
Yeah,
the key.
yeah.
The way Gabe spun it out, they found the key before they found the advantage, because
Yeah.
he had just looked up and seen it, and
And then he
was
said,
yanking it down.
unless he's not telling me.
Something's not adding up. Good on TK for thinking that. I'm not sure that he fully acted on it. It's not clear how that played out from there, is it?
No, it wasn't.
Gabe was doing well, making progress. What did you think about it, the way they've got it set up? Good for one tribal council, or risk it?
I was with him by the time they got to the three tribal counts one, and or go back, give that up, and then continue to lose your vote versus the
I really
final
like-
five. I like to have the option.
Yeah, the multi-stage component.
I remember thinking, nah, I wouldn't do it. I would just keep the one now, get my vote back, make sure because if I'm going to need it, I probably would play it within the next three tribals that we went to. I probably would have gone for that too. So what would you have done, do you think?
Well, he seemed to be very successful.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some
Yeah,
close
he
calls,
was.
but he seemed to be doing great. I don't know why
That's a
you would
risk,
necessarily,
though.
back off. Three's, well, good for him. He's probably thinking a little bit about the dum-dums in season 46 pushing their luck and making some choices not to go full risk. But I love the multi-stage element. Okay, you got your vote back, and this is good for one tribal council, or you can risk it for good for three tribal councils, and then yet another, in the I forget what those Russian dolls are called, but It was the thing inside a thing, inside another. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. That would be a little more daunting too, I think. And especially because you're having to try to watch every move, and especially since he'd already gotten caught once. Mm-hmm. He didn't want anybody else being suspicious. But anyway, I would have made the same choice. So
headed back to Lavo, the red tribe there, and Aysha returns and delivers the disappointment. She said that's her plan. You got nothing to hide.
Well, but everyone notices that Rome has been gone for quite a while.
Just before that, we got the Teeny outing. I thought this was going to be good because I had Teeny as my choice for first to be voted out. So she tells Aysha that she noticed her. She thanks her for going publicly, and then she meets with her one-on-one and says, hey, I think we've got a genuine connection. I know you from the podcast, love your work, blah, blah, blah. And Aysha says, well, I'll trust.
Telling you.
Yeah, I'll trust until there's a reason not to. And I thought, this is perfect. This is exactly how Teeny gets voted out. She set herself up. Okay, go ahead with Rome. Rome is looking for advantages, isolating himself from his tribe.
Yes, and it looked like Teeny wanted to go and look for him or something.
Bust him, yeah.
Aysha said, no, let's just wait and see how he acts when he gets back.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. But I don't know. You should know on Survivor not to be gone too long. Be a little bit more subtle in your searching, at least initially.
Yeah, he didn't care.
Till people because people are watching for it, like that first day especially.
Yeah.
They are going to be watching for that.
Saul was definitely watching for him.
Who do we not trust? Yep. And so, yeah, they were watching it, and
so he
did it anyway.
Yeah, and he ends up finding it in a tree eventually. But his sequence of events are different, and it seems like the elements that he has to solve are different from the ones that Gabe did. At first, I thought they were identical, but yeah. So he decides he's not going to dig up the box on the path.
He was doing it. He was right in the middle of doing it when he thought, oh, wait a minute.
This is a bad idea.
Maybe this is a bad idea.
So he tells us he's going to come back at night.
At something.
Yeah. So. And then he declares that he feels incredible with how well he's doing in the game.
Everybody likes him.
Uh-huh.
I thought, they're talking about you.
Okay, Tiyana cutting back over to Blue, to Tuku tribe. Tiyana does her classic Survivor moment.
Worms.
Eats a worm on day one when you're not actually hungry, but okay. And you risk getting parasites, by the way, when you do that.
Yeah, yuck. Okay, Gabe tells Sue that he found the Beware advantage.
Puts her on lookout duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was so excited. She never dreamed anyone would tell her
bring that to
something.
Her. Yeah.
Yes. And so he's feeding right into, her best scenario.
Yeah. It seems like he chose well. He's got an alliance partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's on the lookout. Grab the money and run. He gets that box and takes off.
Well, and she does warn him when somebody's coming. They had that worked out.
Mm-hmm. Carolyn comes back, and Sue gives the warning to Gabe, so he grabs it up, runs off. And that's when he learned about how he had received an immunity idol that was good for one tribal council, but he could put it back in and upgrade it to 3 tribal councils. Each time you open the clue and go to the next stage, you lose your vote again. It was funny. He said he had hidden the box, and then it comes tumbling down after him coming back down the hill, so he's got to re-hide
that was
it.
Hidden really well.
It was really loud, and people were reacting and wondering what that sound was.
Yeah, the girls were like, hey, what is that noise?
That didn't sound normal.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing seemed to stress him out a good bit.
Yep.
So.
Bouncing back to Gata, the yellow tribe, what'd you think of Sam's approach? He asked him, where am I needed? Where can I help next?
Well, that's a good strategy. I guess I don't necessarily credit Sam as having a lot of strategy.
No, he clearly had a strategy. He said, I want to be the glue.
He did, but
I want to be the person in the middle.
Him with that.
So
going in.
That's a good under the radar thing, and he's trying to make himself valuable to his tribe mates. I like that. I thought that was a good play. John is feeling his age. He tells us he's getting to know a group of young people.
Yep. That does make you feel your age.
He is the oldest by far on his tribe.
Yeah.
He's got 10 plus years on the nearest person?
Yeah, that's usually me. So I can relate to that.
How about those TikToks? He's trying to make himself hip and in with the vibe. Okay, John.
Yeah, I was like, don't know anything about him, John. Of course, he's a lot younger than me, but okay. I don't, they didn't seem to pay it much attention. I don't think they're necessarily seeing him, or they weren't seeing him at that time quite the same way he was seeing himself.
Yes, this is certainly a theme on the Gata tribe.
Yeah.
There are a couple of guys on the Gata tribe that are
brought out their insecurities quickly.
For sure.
Speaking of Andy, he just knew he wanted to work with Rachel. Tells her that, we're aligned. He just was gung-ho. Almost too much. That was kind of a put-off for her.
Try hard, yeah. It definitely set off some red flags.
Whoa, back up. Wait a second.
So I loved her assessment. I don't think he's strategic at all.
But he's sweet.
Yeah. Bless his heart. That's really where she seemed to be going.
Yeah. And he was already to meet me at the beach early, wake up early in the morning.
She's like, no, absolutely not. That's a horrible idea. We don't need to be doing that right now.
Exactly. And she's right.
What does he do? Wakes up in the middle of the night, calls out for her.
I need someone to talk to.
Okay, look, they saw a lot of 46. They clearly had the opportunity to see Ben's struggles. I couldn't help but think this was some kind of Ben play that Andy was doing.
Trying to get her to be
I'm spiraling.
his
I'm
person.
having negative thoughts. Yeah, he was trying to get a Kinsey. I don't know. I couldn't help but think that. I just thought, I'm not sure this is genuine. I mean, you have to meet people where they are when you're out there and dealing with it. And she did. She did get up and go talk to him.
Yeah, but Ben's was more sincere sounding. Now, I get that Andy also has a lot of issues, but you're right. It kind of went to that zone a little bit.
Well, you can't help but think that. I wouldn't fault anyone for going, what are you doing?
He went so negative so quickly.
Yeah, feeling insecure.
And that, again, just had the opposite effect. Everything he did had the opposite effect of what he wanted it to do.
Right. And then instead of acknowledging, hey, I'm doing something.
I think we found your problem.
I'm doing something that's causing, an undesired reaction. His conclusion was they don't like me.
And he spiraled right into, I'm at the bottom of the tribe. I'm the one that's going to be voted out. He just went there.
I opened up, and now I'm dealing with all these negative feelings.
I tried to open up, but she wasn't having it. It just didn't go the way he thought it would.
Her assessment is spot on. She has good assessment skills when it comes to this kind of behavior. She said, look, this guy's drowning. He's going to pull me under.
Well, then he goes to John. He's trying to tell him about it and being very negative. And
I'm the least popular.
And then John's like, wow, I don't know if I want to work with this guy. He's really negative, and I don't know if I want to work with somebody like that.
Lost them both that quick.
Yeah, it's
less than 24 hours.
Yeah, that's really fast.
He's as bad socially as Brandon was a couple of seasons ago physically. They found the social equivalent of, you remember Brandon who couldn't climb up the side of the boat? He didn't have enough physical strength to pull himself out.
Yeah.
And he just kept
needed to remind
blowing, physical challenges. Well, he's that way, but socially. I was thinking it was going to be Teeny. It's Andy.
Well, that just took such an unexpected turn. He seemed really chipper, and I don't know. I just didn't expect that. That took me off guard,
and it's going to get worse, yeah.
Anyway, back over to Tuku on day 3.
Day 3. Challenge day.
That's
he
right.
is out searching. He's up early. I think it's probably still dark outside. They were using the infrared because it was like a black and white shot, looking for that driftwood
Why would
from
he
the clue.
be smashing that driftwood on another one? And that had to be loud when everybody else was up sleeping.
You know what it's like when you're on the beach, though? It just depends on what the tide's doing because the waves drown out so much, and it wasn't clear exactly how far from camp he was. But you gotta think they would place it close to camp. So yeah, I was wondering that too. Anyway, he ends up getting that key, unlocks the second lock, which gives him that 3-day the immunity idol that's good for 3 tribal councils rather, and he learns that he could risk it again for the classic immunity idol that would go all the way to Final 5, and he decides not to after giving us the previous speech about him taking risk and being a gambler. There are limits to Gabe's willingness to gamble and take risks. I think he was tired.
Yeah, probably, and that's stressful. That's just more stress under an already stressful situation, and trying to, and he probably was getting even less sleep because he was trying to do other things or was in his mind. And
okay, back to Lavo, and we're checking back in with Rome to see how he's doing on finding his key. And we see Teeny talking to Saul and Kishan and talking about how Rome stresses her out. That was cool. I love the clue where he had to pour the water on the driftwood to get the message. That was really well done.
Yeah.
I wonder if they wrote it in lemon. Is that how they did that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you think of Aysha walking by and
howdy, Mr. Gamer, she calls out.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I thought at first that she was saying that in the context of gaming and playing Survivor, but he's the esports commentator, so maybe she meant it in that sense in terms of computer gaming. Anyway, she busted him a couple of times and made him nervous, but he convinced himself she didn't know what he was up to.
Well, obviously she was suspicious because she went over and told everyone else that he was looking.
Good deal.
And Saul's like, well, we need to go see if he's still over there.
Wow. And so his first key is at the bottom of the water well. So you have to get in and contaminate the water in the well to get the key.
Well, he didn't get all the way in.
He did. He was soaking wet. His head was in the water.
Well, yeah, his head. But, I mean, he didn't.
And he was
didn't
reaching.
Jump in feet first.
No, he was reaching down to the bottom of it, though.
Yeah, he was. It's better than putting his feet in there.
Okay. Anyway, that was an interesting thing. You had to risk going headfirst into the well.
I don't think it was all that deep. I'm pretty sure it was man-made.
Asia. Yeah, they all are. Yeah, now, so that they make
not
sure
very
that.
Deep.
Yeah, they don't have to boil their own water anymore. Yeah.
No,
That's supposed to be fresh, uncontaminated water for their drinking. So Asia, Saul, Teeny, and Kishan see him, and then he just runs off in the other direction.
Yep. Well, then they were really like, whoa. So I thought, well, I think we know who'll be going from that tribe if they went to cancel.
That's certainly what Aysha says too, but there's
the idol.
Obvious flip side to that. Yeah, if he's been successful, no, he won't. Potentially, he'll have an idol and he'll play it, and maybe it's you. So I didn't get her logic completely there.
Well, she wants him out first, but if they get any inclination that he actually found something, they think he's still looking.
That seemed to be the case, right?
If he had found it, he wouldn't be looking so much.
Okay, cut to the immunity challenge here on day 3. They start on platforms out in the water. They got to jump into the water, swim to boats, and then the whole tribe has to get in the boat before they can unhook and paddle to a series of 3 chests, and the chests have puzzle pieces in them, which are part of a greater puzzle that they'll have to solve up on the beach. So they've got to load those chests into the boats, which look too small to hold 3 chests and 6 people, and that's part of the fun to come, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, and so then they've got to drag the boat up the beach, and at a certain point, they've got to load the chest back into the boat as they drag it up the beach to the stopping point, and then once they get there, they can untie the pieces, and then they've got to build a big, massive Survivor logo puzzle.
And it was also for reward.
Right. So first to finish gets a big build kit with lots of tools and rope and stuff like that for helping to finish off your shelter, make your camp better. And then second gets a smaller version of that with a hammer and some rope and nails and stuff.
All right. I can't imagine pushing that wet boat through the sand.
Yeah, but before that, let's not miss all the fun.
Chests.
Where they get in.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody gets the first chest. They get to the second one. And who was it?
It was
Tuku flipped first.
Yeah,
So the blue tribe, and then the yellow tribe Gata flips their boat, dumps everything. Probst declares it's an absolute disaster. Paddles, boats, and chests everywhere. It's worst performance in a challenge in all 47 seasons.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, here's where I think Saul saved the day. Because the other two tribes had two people trying to get in and out of the boat each time, and
too much disruption.
Lifting the heavy chest together and then trying to get themselves in there. And so I think they were just ending up rocking everything, whereas Saul just picked the dad blame thing up and got on the boat with it.
Yeah, so they ended up with a huge lead.
Yeah, they did. And he is a brute.
Yeah, he was definitely manhandling those big old chests, wasn't he? That was impressive.
It was very impressive.
Yeah, so they just kind of blow.
And he dang near pulled the boat in with the people and the chest.
Single-handedly, yeah. And then they fly up the beach and get started on the puzzle.
It's like, okay, he earned extra victuals if they got anything. Okay, they were, wow.
They did so good and finished so fast that part was over.
Yeah, it's
before
like,
the other two got started.
The other two were they even at the sand? If they were, they were just barely.
Didn't feel like it. Yeah.
It's like, okay, Red's won. Let's let these two play now. Okay, let's start your game. Go.
It was a dominant win for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
totally. Yes.
Okay, so they both eventually get up there. Tuku and Gata get up there and start working on the puzzle. Tuku had Gabe, Tiyana, and Carolyn working on the puzzle, and Gata had Sam, Rachel, and Anika. And you and I were you yelled it out at the time. Andy just walked away. Now he's laying down.
He just walked away. He's not even playing.
So Probst ends up calling medical for Andy. I wasn't sure if that was real.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was trying to get medical, thinking if he got called on a medical and he did that he would automatically get to leave the game, was my first thought. And that it would save him the embarrassment of being voted out.
Yeah, it did seem like there was some...
I thought he was going with that.
Yeah, broken idea of how to save face going on, but no.
Probst was having none of it.
Right.
He's no, the game is still on.
The diagnosis ends up being that he was overheated. Yeah, his tribe didn't even stop. They were told to keep going. He didn't stop the game to get medical over there. That was different, right?
Yeah, since
Andy wasn't working on the puzzle, I guess he wasn't critical to it. He thought they could continue.
Well, and that I think he had some issues, but it didn't look like they take everything into consideration and treat it as though it's life or death. But I don't think he was more clear than someone who was in critical danger from the heat. And so, but they did, get something cold over him and cool him down, and he recovered quickly.
Yeah, Sam, Rachel, and Anika were not doing well on the puzzle this time at all. They weren't making progress anywhere near as fast as Tuku.
No.
And Tuku ends up winning second place.
But I kind of thought it's because their energy was so depleted.
Yeah.
From
the distraction.
And the boat turning over and trying to get it. and then it almost turning over every time they tried to make it go a direction.
Again, yeah, they were struggling a lot.
They struggled a lot. That takes a ton of energy. So I don't doubt that Andy had legitimate heat issue problems and that he worked really hard, but I still think it was the whole mental thing that really pulled him over there.
Given what he ends up saying when Probst is talking to him, it just didn't. Something seemed off for sure.
But I think Probst might have thought the same thing. He's trying to have us take him out of the game, and doesn't work that way, dude. You're still in the game. You're still playing the game. The game is still going.
So he ends up returning, and so Probst asks him, what's going on? What's with all the emotion here? And Andy blurts out, they don't like me. My best friend in the tribe is John, but I was thinking about throwing John under the bus. This was just...
Who does that?
This was a weird sequence of events from this guy. We got to watch him self-destruct, right?
It's like he opened his mouth and his brains came out with everything he was thinking was like, ugh, just out there for everyone to see. It's like, no, dude, what? Stop talking. Stop talking. You have heat stroke. Stop talking.
And Probst flipped it over to John, and John basically commentates Andy's struggle. Said that he was wrestling with the need to stay. Andy tries to save some face, saying he's not wanting to concede.
I don't know.
But he did. What a mess.
I know. I really thought he was looking for a way out to save face. I still think that, but maybe not. It was so bizarre.
Really ill-equipped to play this game is the takeaway after observing this sequence of events.
Well,
prior to this and then this, where he made things so much worse.
My first thought was, wow, where's the psych team? I mean, these are deep-seated issues. And I realized that Survivor can bring a lot of those kinds of things out if you have them in. But it's day 3. That's pretty fast to go into that kind of
I guess me being
place.
a little cynical, I thought there's no way they didn't know that this guy had this going on. They've been testing him. They've been talking to him.
I don't know.
I would just be so amazed and then I would think they were incompetent if they hadn't picked up on something going on like this with him, and he was chosen with an understanding of that.
Well, but they're supposed to go through so much testing and this and that and the other.
It's extensive and blah blah blah. So
but he's probably really good at hiding things, but
maybe
not.
Or maybe
maybe
they made the choice knowingly. Yeah, because it's all about TV moments, and Andy certainly delivered some TV moments.
Well, in that whole, they clapped for John, and they didn't clap for me when I cut a coconut open. That just reverted back to...
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to camp now.
I'm sorry for him.
I
feel bad for him.
Certainly.
That's
So we see sharks feeding. Did you think that was foreboding? The black-tipped sharks were feeding on schools of fish.
Extremely deliberate, and it just made a really fast, quick beeline in this little small school of fish. Scattered them everywhere. So, that was very deliberately shown.
Yeah, Rachel's talking about Andy's public meltdown. And Andy says, well, I've fully gathered my thoughts. I'm 80% back.
Well,
my
and
insecurities are bubbling up.
As Rachel said, I've never seen a meltdown on Survivor in front of everyone before like that. Just completely meltdown.
I don't...
Yeah, I don't know that that's true either. Yeah,
have we seen it in a challenge? We've certainly seen it within tribes.
Brandon Hans.
That was in his tribe, though. I don't think that was in front of everyone.
No, at a challenge. Hello.
Okay, I don't remember it that way. I know there was one in camp for sure. Maybe more than one. Yeah.
There was one in camp, but I'm talking about at the challenge. Didn't they pull him out right there from the challenge?
That was at their camp. No.
No.
That was when went rogue and was destroying the rice and threatening to go after Philip.
No, this was at a challenge.
Okay. All right.
Obviously, we're going to have to go back and watch something.
Yeah.
When we have time.
Yeah. Anika tells us Andy is a huge concern. You're having this kind of issue on day 3? Yes, I agree, Anika.
Well, and it's a good thing that Sierra can make fire because they lost their flint, though she probably used the flint to make it. But
she did, yes.
Yes, but maybe she can make it without flint.
Hopefully they got some coals they can leverage. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Well, I thought you were going to say that Sierra told him, hey, Andy, you're an asset, because she was trying to,
you provided
to prop him
for
up.
us.
Yeah. John just said, oh, he's so paranoid. Oh, my goodness.
John's like, I'm nervous. He called me out.
Yeah.
How do I go to bat for him right now?
I thought we were having a Charlie's Angels moment there for a second with Sierra, Anika, Rachel, and John, and they were making the decision. But then Rachel says, hey, John, we're going to tell him it's you that we're voting out. Is that okay? That's what we're going to tell Andy.
That's what turned it around. I think he was okay till then.
Right.
And he's like, whoa, wait a minute.
This is not okay.
Not okay.
But he didn't target Rachel.
Not believing you girls.
He said, I think we need to get out Anika.
So he shifted his thoughts then.
Sorry, we see John talking to Andy.
Yep.
And telling him, hey, I want you to stay. What do you want to do? And it was Andy who said Anika. So John ran with that.
And Andy said, and I was never really going to throw you under the bus.
Sure, got it. Well, the other thing he said was, we'll get Sam, and I think Sam can get a Sierra, and that'll be the 4 votes that we want. So Sam's got a good connection with Sierra, according to Andy.
Or they think he does.
If you want to trust any of Andy's assessments.
Any of their observations. Okay.
And then this is,
Sam's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, and just before that, we got John when he was given the title. That's where he gave the One Glorious and Perfect Episode title. There was a quick confessional shot with him after he spoke with Andy.
Well, and they've all calmed down and decided, nah, we don't want to keep losing. We need Andy. He's stronger than John. And John's more strategic.
Hard. Yeah, he's
Andy's
sneaky.
Not strategic,
he's smart.
And he's just muscle. We can work with that.
I'm with Rachel. She said she was still worried that Andy's just a ticking time bomb.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I would have gotten rid of Andy for sure. That would have been my plan. Anyway, that's the toss-up. Is it going to be Andy or John?
Well, that would be me because I thought you can't trust him.
Exactly.
You can't leave him in the game too long because if you get switched up with him, he'll throw you under the bus too.
Well, he's going to crack again. The pressure only gets more intense from here. He's not going to make it.
Well, yeah.
He's not going to be a stable element you can have in an alliance.
I don't think so either, and that makes me concerned for him as a person, not as a game player.
Yeah, it's possible he could get hurt worse emotionally. Yeah.
Not as a game player. You don't want to see them personally have something that's supposed to be this wonderful experience to create something harmful for them, for their future. So.
Yep, that's
because his
dude's fragile.
The mental health is a concern always, and so you don't want to see that get set off.
He's clearly thin-shelled. Okay, Tribal Council there on night 3. I love the set. What did you think of the Tribal Council set? Those giant statues. And, Yeah, they're just, the art department continues to outdo themselves on the different Tribal Council sets.
Yeah. And John had decided that he didn't want to wait and see what they were going to do, and he was nervous and that he was going to be proactive in the decision and, go after Anika.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Probst turns to Sierra first there at Tribal Council, and Sierra gives kudos to Anika, talking about how much she stepped up. Anika says, well, I just had a general idea what to do, and then we got to it.
Well, as she said, she had ideas about what they should be doing.
Mm-hmm. I think he turns to the conversation over to John at one point, and John gives us the community and competitors speech and talks about how they had delayed the strategy part of the game.
They are a community, but as he said, they're also competitors, and that makes a difference.
I think a lot of people expected, with how Probst was celebrating John's ability to be a narrator and storyteller, that he was destined to go deep in the game.
And you knew Probst was going to question Andy about the comments he made at the challenge. And Andy said, well, he always needed to please people, and
History of being an outsider.
and talked again about, he thought he had prepared himself and he was ready to conquer a lot of the fears, but that this was a social test and he failed.
Yeah. John tried to soften it a little. He said Andy had a moment.
How about you just regressed a little? You haven't completely failed. It's ongoing.
Andy tried to soften the whole throw under the bus thing, but in generalized throwing people under the bus, but John didn't let that slide by. He said, no, you only threw one person under the bus, Andy. That was me.
But John also said that people shouldn't be judged by their worst moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good.
I liked that a lot.
You can certainly make that choice, but it's hard to be that far-seeing in a 26-day game.
Yes, especially 3 days in. But Andy made it clear that he wasn't going to say, vote me out, let's just play Survivor and I'll accept whatever happens. So, but I still don't think that was his goal when he went over to, I think also too, he had maybe the heat situation going on, but I think his emotional response created even more physical response happening. That his fear, because he saw them losing, what he was seeing was, they're voting me out. Mm-hmm. They're voting me. And I think it was part the heat stroke and part panic attack.
And just lack of worldly experience.
Well, I don't know about that. I can't speak to that. But anyway, that's my take on it anyway.
I like that Rachel didn't let him off the hook. She took the opportunity at Tribal Council to send him a message. Not sure about him recovering and if he could keep it together.
Yep.
And then Probst wanted to bring it back to him. He said, remember what I said? Remember what I said at the beginning? It's about forming a community under the pressures of this social game. Okay, Probst, yeah.
Okay.
You pegged it
Time to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was a very simple vote. There was John's vote, and then everyone else for John.
John voted for Anika, yeah. No advantages or idols were played because we didn't see anyone on the Yellow Tribe, on the Gata Tribe, have any success locating an advantage/idol.
Did you like what he said when Probst snuffed his torch?
What was it? Burned bright?
Burned bright and fast.
I think I would have had some words for the folks that were still there.
Yeah. Why? What's he going to tell them that they don't know? Nothing. They know Andy's going to have issues, so that wasn't their main concern. Their concern is we need his strength right now, period. We don't want to have to go back to Tribal Council next week. We need his strength, bottom line.
Feared me strategically. Yes.
Yes.
So much so that you kept this guy who's going to self-destruct. And likely, as Rachel had noted, pull one or more of you down with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Next on Survivor.
What'd you think of Anika's assessment? She said Andy is like a toxic, clingy boyfriend.
Yep.
He's giving me those kind of vibes.
Yep. But Sam's trying his best. Andy's got a coconut, and Sam's like, let's go, Andy. So I'm assuming he was trying to encourage him.
Yeah.
What
did you think about what Saul said about Rome?
That
when
he's
he was
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
So what's going on with Tiyana? He called us all losers. And then we hear a voiceover from Sue saying, I could see the rage on her face. That put the nail in the coffin. And then they're showing Gabe on the screen. So Gabe called them all losers, according to something Tiyana heard or was told. And now there's a nail in the coffin.
I don't know. Either that or there's a misdirect.
She goes after Gabe. It's not going to end well for her, more than likely.
No, not right now. And maybe that's making him bold.
Although, yes, maybe since he was willing to take the additional risk to get the 3 tribal council idol, he won't be eager to play it right out of the gate. So they could catch him with it in his pocket, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems like he could be susceptible to that if it goes that way.
Yeah, because he's going to want to hold on to it.
Yep. And then Andy apparently says something to Sam. Sam says, I was not ready for the bomb Andy was about to drop. So a little teaser mystery right there at the end on Next Time on Survivor.
Though I would have thought, since they got to watch a good portion of season 46, they would realize the mistakes that they made holding tight to their idols.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's probably even more tempting to take the 1 tribal council idol. It's like, yeah, let's not sit on this. Let's not repeat the 46 history. It's good for 1. I'll do that, and then I'll get something else.
Oh, I would have liked the 3 one. At least 3 tribals.
Yeah, that's the temptation. That's how they get you.
Temptation.
That's how they get you. Okay, what'd you think of the 2-hour premiere
I
for 47?
very much enjoyed it. It was action-packed.
Yeah, a lot of good background.
Thought-provoking.
Unsettling to watch Andy unravel like that.
Yeah.
I feel sad for Andy.
Yeah, I do too.
And hope he was able to get some help when he got back, whenever that was.
Whereas I understand the rest of the tribe, and they do need his strength, but I don't know.
I think John's willingness to go with Andy's choice of Anika is what undid him. It seemed like he probably had a majority with the ladies, even though them saying they were going to write his name down unnerved him, unsettled him for sure.
Yeah,
it was interesting to watch that sequence of events, but that's all part of what made this good. I enjoyed it. I like the change to the sweat versus savvy. Go ahead, what?
I kind of just thought that they were already leaning toward John over Andy anyway.
Maybe.
Because they think
oldest
he's
stood out.
Older and smarter and definitely more strategic.
And likely richer with the big famous podcast. That would be certainly something I would be wondering about, even though I'm not familiar with this podcast at all.
No, I don't know anything about it, so I don't know.
It sounds like it was one of the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a good advertising deal, and sky's the limit with some of those. This is the only
podcast I do.
Yes, well, this is a part-time job, so it takes a lot of out of our.
I don't have time to listen to podcasts.
Out of the podcasting sales.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what's your grade overall?
Oh, I hate giving grades and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna hit you.
Just resorts to violence. Okay.
Violence. Well, your arm's right here.
Yeah.
I don't do grades. I enjoyed it.
It's a good start.
You grade it.
I don't know. It looks like we've got people who aren't going to quit. It looks like we've probably got people who, I don't know. Andy's still in the game, so he's still going to disappoint.
To a quit to me.
Yeah.
And he still could quit.
Still
if he
there.
Gets upset.
John wasn't going to quit. Andy, maybe. Yeah. He's likely headed for lower lows.
Yeah, I like the cast overall. I do.
Yeah, right now I'd say that. There's certainly worry about Andy. So I'm not seeing the Banu vibes, the Jess vibes, that kind of thing. Like the horrible start to 46, I'm not really sensing any of that right now.
No. Mm-mm.
John's not a Jelinski for sure. So there's a lot of people who are going to be sad that he's not there.
Really?
Regret that he doesn't get to go deeper in the game. I'm good with it. There's something about his delivery, his speech pattern, the pauses, like he's trying to be Obama. I'm not sure what it was.
What?
But he didn't do it for me.
Okay. I didn't associate any of that with him at all, really.
Okay.
But I think I would have sent Andy on myself, but
I would, because you just don't want that element you can't trust like that.
yeah, I don't. That would have been uppermost for me, and that I would have thought, no, I think he needs to talk to someone.
Right. He needs to go get help.
Because he wants someone in the group to talk to him, because that's all he's got. But I think he needs more than that. That's what he's saying out loud, is I need something. When he woke up, he just wanted it to be Rachel, and Rachel was not the same character as last season. That's not her thing.
Right.
So she's not going to be there for that. And not everyone's trained to deal with it. So,
yep.
I just think that.
Especially,
and he can pull out of it, but it'll be so much easier for him to slide back into it.
I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic for the season after the premiere episode. I think that's where I want to leave it. There's certainly this big question mark over Andy going forward. How about a JSFL update?
I can do that. There were 13 people who lost their USB, which is who they chose to win the entire season. 62 people lost a safe point, including Stacy.
Yeah, I was trying to get some before he was gone. I didn't think he would go right at the beginning.
And 26 people got 2 points for the first vote off of the season.
Nice. Okay.
And therefore are in the lead.
Yes.
Okay, as far as the 8 side challengers that are participating this season, with 6 points, tied for in the lead is Jeremiah and Rebecca. With 4 points, we have Anderson, Justin, Parker, and Robert. And with 3 points in the basement. Is Lisa Ray and Stacy.
Yeah, we had John safe. Thanks, John, you chucklehead.
What did he do?
He got himself voted
kind of
out.
Bring it on, but
yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's pretty much that.
Okay. Well, we are looking forward to hearing your thoughts about the premiere episode. And our voicemail line is 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio and attach it to an email, or you can just type up a quick email and send it to us at joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturday. We ask it, whatever your format, that you keep it in that 3-minute range. Looking forward to hearing how your assessment of the Castaways has changed after this week's gameplay. Who impressed you the most? Who do you think's playing the best? Who's in jeopardy of being voted out next? What did you think to the change to Sweat versus Savvy? Who would you have picked, Andy or John or Anika? And look forward to hearing your thoughts about the kickoff, the premiere of Survivor Season 47. Anything else?
Good night.
Have a good one.